Sometimes I play Trails games. Okay, that's a lie. One time I played a Trails game, but now I've played two. That's also a lie. Well, kinda. I played a different version of the same Trails game I already played. Me and the Trails series have been a weird pairing, like Simon and Oates or Hall and Garfunkel. I have known about The Legend of Heroes since the PSP days, and I had Trails on the PSP. I did start the game only to stall out after like an hour or two. And then years later, I got it again when it came to Steam and started the game again, and I stalled out in pretty much the exact same place. There's just so many 100+ hour Japanese role-playing games to play, and only so much time to play them in. Then it took me till 2023 to actually sit down and really play Trails. Trails 1, and I loved it. I loved it so much that I vowed, after a short break, to start up the second game and play through the series. Well, guess what? I fucking lied again. It's now 2026, and I am finally on my Trails arc. I have recently finished Trails in the Sky first chapter remake thing, and I am now on to Trails in the Sky SC, trying to finish that one before the remake of that one comes out later this year. We are truly in the age of remakes, aren't we? So yes, finally I am getting into the Trails games. And I am really excited to finally get into the series in 2026. Don't worry about it. So yeah, let's talk about Trails 1 Remake. It's RPG Fortress's The Year of the Legend of Heroes. Roll the intro. The original Trails in the Sky was developed and published by Nihon Falcom for Japanese Windows back in 2004. Later, in 2006, it was ported to the PSP and released in the West by Xseed Games. And for a long time, getting Trails games localized into English was a nightmare. It took Xseed's lead editor, the frankly legendary, if you ask me, Jessica Chavez, 9 months to translate the game's massive script, which contained 1.5 million Japanese characters, into English. Xseed was then tasked to release the Trails in the Sky trilogy to PC, and that caused issues as they were converting the PSP games to PC, and that caused a lot of bugs and issues. There is a number of decent videos about this topic here on YouTube, so if you want to know more, go seek one of those out. It really is quite a nightmare. Meanwhile, in Japan, the Legend of Heroes games just kept coming. Just like your mother. The Trails in the Sky trilogy, the Trails of Cold Steel quadrology, if that is a real word, Trails into Azure, Trails out of Azure, Trails Mix, Trails BMX, and Trails in the Sky, the series just never slowed down. We did eventually start getting Trails games a lot closer to the original Japanese release date, but for like 15 years, we pretty much didn't get any of these games on time. And I am glad that we are pretty much getting them right on time these days, because the world needs big JRPG series that aren't called Final Fantasy or Persona. But we are here to talk about the remake of that original Trails in the Sky title. So let's talk about that. Trails in the Sky first chapter was developed and published by Nihon Falcom in Japan, published in North America by Gung Ho, and published in Europe by Clear River Games. The game hit all 3 of those territories all on the same day in 2025, thank you very much. The game uses the Trails Through Daybreak engine, which I think is the latest original game as of the writing of the script. Okay, yeah, I checked. This engine was developed for Trails Through Daybreak, but there has been Trails Through Daybreak 2 and Trails Beyond the Horizon since then, and all of these games use that same engine. There are so many of these games. Bottom text. This remake features a lot of the things that you would expect from a modern-day remake. Improved graphics, improved fidelity, remixed and remastered music, voice acting, and lots of quality-of-life improvements. And we'll touch upon those exact details a little bit later into the video. The story in Trail's first chapter is the story of a couple of kids named Estelle and Joshua. The game starts with them working to become bracers, basically one part ranger, one part sellsword, and one part errand person. They quickly become junior bracers and then spend the rest of the game working to become actual full-fledged bracers. During this time, they make new friends, make enemies, uncover a plot to take over the kingdom, discover giant robots under the Liberal Palace, and a lot more. If you are new here, I don't do in-depth story breakdowns. I love my RPGs, I love RPG stories, but for me, the most important part of RPGs is the gameplay. I know RPGs are supposed to be story first, and sometimes that is definitely true, but I would rather play an RPG with great gameplay and a bad story as opposed to an RPG with a great story and bad gameplay. That being said, the story in this game is absolutely fire, and from what I have played so far of Trails in the Sky SC, the same goes for that game. One thing that I really like about these games is that they are all connected to each other. Some of my favorite games from when I was a kid, Shining Force, Phantasy Star Lunar, all have stories that are interconnected to each other and set in these really well realized worlds. And the world of Trails is really captivating. It's a world of magic and science. Orbital energy is basically magic. It allows your characters to use special arts, and it also powers technology. What you end up with is a world of magic that teeters on the edge of a full-on industrial revolution, giving it a very unique feel. In some places, it comes off as a bit steampunk, which is fine. It's not my favorite punk, but whatever. But it's a very bright and cheerful take on almost steampunk. Full disclosure, Final Fantasy VI is one of my favorite games of all time, and that game and this game do have some similar vibes. Along with a well-realized world are well-realized characters, and this game has loads of great characters. First and foremost, the main cast is awesome. You have Estelle, the main character, who is one of the funnest, funniest, and most well-written characters in any game I've ever played. Her arc from silly kid to serious adult bracer is amazingly well done. It's the definition of what a character arc should look like. The rest of the main cast are all really good as well, but what this game has that a lot of RPGs do not is a good supporting cast. And I don't mean just characters tied to the main story, but I'm talking about NPCs as well. You'll meet characters on quests that you'll see again later in other quests or just fucking around in towns. These are not just one and done, hi, I'm David, please kill 15 rats for me, okay, bye. These are characters with backstory and personality. And if you want world building, you get a lot of that too. You can find these books in-game that have a lot of reading in them. You can find standalone books, book series, newspapers, and those book series, those are long. These are optional, but the fact that they are there really helps build up the world. Gameplay is so good. This might be my new favorite game engine. Combat is just absolutely solid. The OG Trails was certainly a fair bit crusty, but being a crusty old RPG fan, I hobbled my way through the OG Trails, and right now, while writing this script, I am hobbling my way through OG Trails SC. It's just what I do. I play crusty old RPGs. And I enjoy it. But even as someone who has played loads of old RPGs throughout the years, these old Trail games are pretty fucked up. You can definitely play through them and enjoy them, but they are definitely finicky. I have to play them in a 1280 by 720 window, the autosaves are flaky, the interface is a bit messed up, cancel button is also the open menu button. Like I said, the old games are playable, but your mileage will vary with how much old school RPG jank that you can put up with. But this new game, goddamn. First up, there is no more getting lost. The original Trails in the Sky and the sequel, from what I have played so far, has a very simple map system and absolutely no markers. If you want to get all of everything, you need to basically talk to everyone in town after every single story beat, along with checking the Bracer quest board after every single story beat. This leads to a lot of instances where you can potentially miss something important. Thankfully, the remake now has map markers telling you where to go for the main story, where to go for bracer quests, and where to go for other optional things. I did not have to look at a guide a single time during my playthrough, whereas in the OG Trails and in Trails SC, I have to have my nose buried in a guide constantly or I will 100% miss something. Some people will definitely prefer the old school style because it is a lot less hand-holdy, but for someone like myself who has a lot of games to play, the remake allowing you to beeline straight to your objectives is mint. Characters are voiced now, mostly. Most cutscenes will have voice dialogue for your party members and for important NPCs. This, along with dynamic camera angles, makes the game a lot more cinematic than the OG. It's a little bit weird in some places though. Sometimes your party members aren't voiced, but NPCs are. For example, meeting Olivier for the first time and seeing Estelle and Joshua's dialogue be text only, while Olivier's dialogue is voiced, is just weird. And it's not just this scene. There are many, many scenes like this. It's a very strange decision. The graphics now are fully polygonal and they look great. Having these big, colorful character models in a huge, vibrant world with a fully 360-degree camera is just fun to mess around in. Yes, you have a mini-map that you could stare at the whole time, but the world has lots of items and chests and destructibles holding loot that gets you staring at the game world instead of said map. Quests, baby, quests. If you watched my OG Trails video or my Phantasy Star 4 video, you know that I have a very love-hate relationship with quests in games. I find most quests in most games are just busy work. A nameless NPC says kill 16 rats or collect 20 fire orbs, and then they give you an outdated piece of armor for completion. That sucks. But not in Trails. The quests in Trails all have named NPCs with personalities and reasons behind the quests. Quests are tracked at the Bracer Guild in each town and are recorded in your Bracer Handbook for added flavor. This rules. I absolutely love the way that quests are done in these games. It's a lot like the quests in Phantasy Star 4, which, IMO, was the first real great set of quests in a game. And with added voices and dynamic camera angles in the remake, quests are more fun than ever. In a lot of games, I will say, oh well, another quest, whatever, whereas in Trails, I say, oh hell yeah, another quest, let's fucking go. You'll normally get money and bracer points for finishing a quest, which is cool, but for me, the quest, the dialogue, the interactions between your characters and NPCs, just the experience of doing the quests is why you do the quests. Just perfect. Combat, baby. Dude, holy crap. So this game has two systems for combat. It has your classic turn-based RPG combat that anyone who's ever played a Final Fantasy or Dragon Quest has experienced, but it also has an action combat system. When I first played the demo all those months ago, I thought I was just going to be using the OG combat system, but I found myself switching between the two a lot during my playthrough. For bosses and big fights, you really want to use the turn-based combat. In fact, you kind of have to use the turn-based combat. And the turn-based combat is great for planning out attacks and arts and crafts and gives you the strategy that you need for clearing out big baddies. But the action combat system is great for smaller, weaker mobs that don't require a lot of thought to kill. You can roll around, light attack, heavy attack, just mow through these smaller minions without the hassle of a transition to turn-based combat mode. Action combat is quick and clean, and absolute joy when you're out looking for materials for crafting. And the real beauty between the two systems is how they work together. You can start a fight by rolling into a group of enemies, hitting them with a few normal attacks, then hit them with a heavy attack, and then transition into turn-based combat. This will start the battle with the enemies being damaged and with the enemies being stunned. This will allow you a free round of combat before the enemies can even react to you. Just truly beautiful and amazing combat system. Other systems in the game involve a return of the cooking system, equipping orbments to generate different spells, using Sepith to increase the power of orbments, and brand new, leveling up your weapons and armor. Now, this is a very bare bones system, but having the option to increase the strength of a weapon or the defense of a piece of armor partway through a chapter before you receive new weapons or armor is pretty cool. Trails in the Sky First Chapter is the definitive way to do a remake. All of the love for the original game is still there, from the charming characters to the immense world building and the captivating story. It's all there. The combat, the quests, the gameplay, it's all there. Everything is just updated to a sleek and stylish, more modern sheen. I've seen a lot of chatter from RPG newbies saying, wow, I finally get to play this game because I can't play the old hunk of junk. And yeah, I feel a little bit crummy when that OG game is referred to as old or unplayable, but admittedly, like I said earlier in this video, those original games are pretty rough. So having a remake with all of the warts and crusty edges removed is great. It opens up this huge beloved series to even more fans. And I think I can actually call myself a fan now. I loved that OG game, but playing just one out of like 20 titles does not a fan make. But now I have the OG game and the remake finished, and I am well more than halfway through SC, and later this year, the SC remake and the new engine arrives. That is gonna be an amazing play. And I'll probably be well into Trails the Third at that stage as well. Plus, I have all of the Cold Steel games, Trails to Azure, Trails from Zero, and I am always on the lookout for sales to pick up the games that I don't have. So, needless to say, I have a long way to go, but I can definitely call myself a Trails fan now. And I am really happy to do so. Let the year of the Legend of Heroes continue on. For RPG Fortress, I'm Richard. See you next time, and don't forget to hug a cat. Goodbye.